think we're back. Welcome back. Episode 3. Working on being consistent. My kids are with the grandparents right now, so they come back tomorrow. So we'll see how this works. But episode 3, going through a few topics. Trade. Really talk about Brandon Ingram trade that I saw earlier today. Some trade proposals that were mapped out. Some I found interesting. Some probably won't happen. NBA predictions for the season. We'll go over win-loss records today. Found a couple articles on that. Try to see which ones I think are good, which ones aren't. Go through that, and then ranking the next rebuilding teams. That will be what we go over today. Get started. Let's get started with Brandon Ingram. So we have Brandon Ingram. Social media posts spark trade rumors. Pretty sure it was on Instagram or X, if I had to take a guess. But let's talk about Brandon Ingram a little bit. So, it starts with the Lakers. Basically gets traded for Anthony Davis. That package deal with him, Lonzo, and Josh Hart. Was Larry? I can't remember Larry Nance. Larry Nance might have been in that trade too. But it gets traded, becomes the number one guy, but then they draft Zion, and then quickly becomes the number 2 guy, and then CJ McCollum comes, and now it really doesn't look like Brandon Ingram. Honestly, you have Zion, so you're going to give Zion the ball. Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, I would prioritize Brandon Ingram, but CJ, they had him at point guard, so it looks like he's going to have the ball more. But then now they bring in DeJounte Murray. So now there's 4 people that need the ball. And DeJounte is definitely playing point guard now. So unless they're going to move McCollum to the bench, which actually might be the right move, give them some scoring power there. I see why Brandon Ingram wants to trade. He's making good money off of his last contract, but I know his contract is about to come up here shortly. And he's going to want a new home. So there's a couple of trades that I did see that were interesting. Just looking back on here. Let's go to the trending ones that I saw. Okay. This one was interesting just because, and somebody proposed this 4 months ago. It can't work though. It was interesting. Basically, it was trading Ingram to the Blazers. No, not the Blazers. No, the Cavs. And then the Pelicans get Anthony Simons. Trailblazers get basically 2 firsts. Georges Niang. But the problem is with the deal, Dyson Daniels is already with Atlanta. And Jared Allen already signed for his deal, if I remember right. So this couldn't happen. I see why it was trending though. Because now you have not necessarily a big 3, but now you're starting 5. You have 5 scores. And Ingram should be able to play a little defense. He's an average defender, but if you think about it, they would have had Donovan Mitchell. I can't remember. I don't know why I forget the point guard's name all the time. But you have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and then if you put Brandon Ingram at small forward, that would work out really well. But yeah, they wouldn't be able to do this trade anyway. But when I was looking at some statistics on just Brandon Ingram, when he first got to the Pelicans, I look at his points per possession. All those numbers were great. He scored the ball efficiently. It's because he had the ball in his hands. Looking at this trade, so Brandon Ingram to the Warriors, and really is Brandon Ingram to the Warriors. I'll talk about the top players. DeAndre Ayton to the Pelicans, gets them a big man because if I remember Valanciunas, where did Valanciunas go? Because he didn't sign back with the Pelicans. And then you have the Trailblazers, who get Andrew Wiggins. So the trades between the Warriors, the Pelicans, and Trailblazers. Let's go through the details of the trade. Warriors would get Brandon Ingram, Jose Alvarado, Ryan Rupert. Not sure who Ryan Rupert is. Pelicans would get DeAndre Ayton, Moses Moody, Delano Banton, and a first-round pick in 2030. Pretty sure that's probably a pick swap. Trailblazers get Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton, Jeremiah Robinson, first-round pick in 2027, second-round pick 2027, and a 2030 first-round pick as well. Puts all those guys in new situations. I don't know if the Warriors would want to get rid of Andrew Wiggins for Brandon Ingram. It does make him a little younger, but Andrew Wiggins is definitely a better defender than Ingram. Ingram's going to come in and want to score, which the Warriors probably do need. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Andrew can do it, but it just depends on where he's at mentally. But if I'm the Warriors, do I get off of Moses Moody? Do I trade Gary Payton again? And if I'm the Blazers, I'm not accepting a trade for Gary Payton because all I know is he's going to go back to the Warriors. And then DeAndre Ayton to the Pelicans. That does give the Pelicans a scoring big man. But the way their lineup's set up right now, you don't necessarily need that. And I preached yesterday about the big man, the rim-running big man, because I think that's more of what you would need on a team like that. So Larry Nance fits that mold perfectly. If he was taller, the guy that plays on the Lakers that they just traded, I was hoping he would be good. I can't remember his name because he doesn't even play that much anymore. But he signed back to the Lakers too. I can't remember. I need to work on players' names again. Problem is, I haven't had time to play 2K like I used to, and that helped me learn everybody's names. But I could see the Warriors getting off of Andrew Wiggins, but I don't think for Brandon Ingram. And I think, and if I'm the Warriors, I'm thinking they want to bring somebody else in besides Brandon Ingram. So it's an interesting trade. I don't think this is the trade that I would say would go through, but it is an interesting trade. They have another one. Basically, it's the Pelicans and Trailblazers. Trailblazers get Brandon Ingram. Pelicans get DeAndre Ayton and 2 second-round picks. Gets Pelicans a big man, which they need. Trailblazers get Brandon Ingram. I don't see Brandon Ingram being happy. Now, he might sign the contract for money purposes, but I don't see him being too happy about that, just being honest. Darius Garland, Cavaliers guard I was thinking of. And I remember the name after seeing this. Okay, so this trade wouldn't work, but let's just throw some hypotheticals out there. They have the Pelicans getting Nick Claxton. So when I talk about a rim running big, that is what I'm talking about, Nick Claxton. That's perfect. That's what you need. Actually, a team should try, but I think he just signed, so I don't know. I don't think he can be traded just yet. But Nick Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, a second-round pick to the Pelicans. The Nets would get Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, Jeremiah Robinson, Javonte Green. I don't think they could trade him though. But the Cavaliers get a lot. The Nets get a lot. And to be honest with you, if I'm the Cavaliers trading Darius Garland, I don't know where the 2026 first-round pick is coming from. The Pelicans? Okay. That's coming from the Pelicans. Yeah, if I'm the Cavs, I'm not trading. If I'm getting Brandon Ingram and Cameron Johnson, the Cavs, that's who they're getting. I don't feel like I should be trading any first or that many picks if I'm giving up Darius Garland and Karis LeVert and Georges Niang. So I don't necessarily like that one too much. What else do we have here? Do a couple more. They said Malik Monk cannot be traded. Yeah, this trade wouldn't work either. I don't know if DeAndre Ayton to the Pelicans is a thing, but there's a lot of trades that DeAndre Ayton going to the Pelicans. But again, Pelicans, DeAndre Ayton. This trade wouldn't work. Malik Monk can't sign to the Trailblazers. But let's just go with it for now. Trailblazers get Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, King, and a first-round pick in 2029. Brandon Ingram goes to the Kings. I don't really see. I would prefer the Kings to keep Malik Monk just because Brandon Ingram is going to be literally in the same situation that he's in now. They have DeMar DeRozan, they have De'Aaron Fox, and they have Sabonis. So that's not going to work with the Kings. And Trailblazers is a rebuild anyway, so Trailblazers should probably get Malik and trade him off in the first place. They just want the first round pick. Same thing with Huerter. But I don't necessarily like that trade either. Let's take a look here. Okay. We have a trade that actually can go through. This one's an interesting one. Let's read this one off. We have the Pacers, Pelicans, Raptors, and Nets. Okay? The Pacers get Dorian Finney-Smith, Kelly Olynyk, someone else who's 6'11", a 2025 first-round picks, one 2026 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. Okay, let's see why they get all these picks. The Pelicans get Bruce Brown and Miles Turner. Okay, first-round pick must have been Miles Turner. The Raptors get Brandon Ingram and 2 second-round picks. The Nets get Ben Mathurin and Jeremiah Robinson. I need to look up Jeremiah Robinson. He's been involved in a lot of these trades, and I'm not sure if he's just a trade filler or I need to look up. I'm not familiar with his work. But that's interesting. You get Brandon Ingram with Emmanuel Quickley, who I like. If I had to pick a sleeper for this year, to be honest, that's who it would be. I've got to find me a Dynasty Basketball League. I think if I could find one, I think I'd be pretty solid in it, actually. I got to find one, though. But Emmanuel Quickley, who's the guy that was with the Knicks? RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram should be the one, but probably will be the 2 because RJ Barrett's going to take his fair amount of shots. Emmanuel Quickley, honestly, is a very efficient guard who should get his shots. So I'm interested to see how the Raptors use him this year because he's been a 6-man, but he's a similar type of, not similar, but he's in the style of how Jalen Brunson was. Efficient guard who came off your bench, scored well, but now he gets traded to another team, and you don't really see the value of him until he goes somewhere else. So I'm interested to see that. Pelicans getting Miles Turner, obviously fulfills a need, getting a big man, and this would just signal the Pacers being in a rebuild. But do you want to be in a rebuild with Tyrese Halliburton, and you just made the conference finals? Now, was it fluky? I believe so, but it still is you pick up Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk's not going to be able to play the defense, Miles Turner, and not come close to it. But the scoring aspect, he'll be somewhat decent. And then you get Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a hard-playing guard or a small forward. They have him at power forward on here, which is crazy. The Nets get Ben Mathurin, who's been hurt for a couple of years, wasn't even really involved in the playoff run, so you don't have to worry about that. But so this will be interesting. I don't know if the Raptors have to give any picks up? I don't know if the Raptors wants to be in the business of giving up any picks right now. So I don't know if they would do this deal. The money works, the trades work, but I don't know if they would actually do this deal. Ooh, this one looks interesting. Okay, let's read this one off. All right. So yesterday we mentioned how Jimmy Butler was upset, right? So we have a trade with my Atlanta Hawks, the Miami Heat, and the New Orleans Pelicans. We have Duncan Robinson, Pell Larson, I'm not sure who that is, and a 2027 second round pick to the Hawks. The Heat get Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, two first. Wait a minute. Okay, and they get two firsts. Okay, let's stop there. The Pelicans get Jimmy Butler and Clint Capella. Now, just from a structure standpoint, I don't see how that trade works because I don't see Jimmy shooting 40% from three again. And so now you have DeJounte Murray, Zion, and Jimmy. So no floor spacers. And the Pelicans pick up Clint Capella as well in this deal. So you have four people that can't space the floor at all. And then CJ McCollum might need to be in the starting lineup for some shooting, or you're going to have to put a guy that can shoot the ball because you wouldn't have any outside shooting in that starting lineup. That would be terrible. But what I also don't get is how do the Heat get multiple first-round picks if, one, Brandon Ingram is younger, and two, Jimmy still would have to sign another contract. So unless that happened, well, Jimmy probably would sign with the Pelicans if the money was right. But we have seen Jimmy leave before. So unless Jimmy signed, if it was a handshake agreement that Jimmy was signing, there would be no way this deal goes through. I could not see that. All right. I'm going to check two more. I want to look at two more, and then we'll get off of it. Here goes another one involving my beloved Atlanta Hawks. But this one doesn't work, though. Why doesn't this one work? Is it the money? Javonte Green. Okay, well, all right. I'm not going to let that affect my trade. Okay, so the Hawks, Clippers, Pelicans, and Bulls are involved in this trade. The Hawks, we would get PJ Tucker, Chris Duarte, and Bones Highland. And we would get a 2025 second, basically 5 second-round picks all the way out to 2031. The Clippers would get Zach LaVine, Garrett Matthews, and a 2031 first. Okay, how did they get a first and we don't get a first? Who do we trade, though? I guess that's the real question. Clint Capella. Clint Capella can't get us a first? The Pelicans get a big man again, and Clint Capella and Norman Powell, and then they get 2 first. Okay. And then the Bulls get Brandon Ingram, Terrence Mann, Jeremiah Robinson, and Javonte Green, even though they can't get them. So they have to fill in another player. But, what I don't understand, okay, who are the people that gave up the picks? So the Bulls and Clippers gave up picks. So the Bulls would have gave up a pick to go get Brandon Ingram. I understand that. The Clippers definitely would have gave up a pick to get Zach LaVine. So, okay, I can understand that. Now, we trade Clint Capella, and we basically get a bunch of seconds, which isn't bad because we still do get a little bit of talent with Bones and Duarte, and PJ Tucker's probably we probably not waive, but we probably do waive PJ Tucker in that instance. But this would be an interesting scenario. Okay, one more. I'm gonna go to the trending tab actually, and I know this trade will not. Actually, I can't even go to the trending tab because the trade won't work. I need to go to one that could still possibly work now. This one's interesting. Okay. It's between the Warriors, Pelicans, Bulls, and Pistons. So we have Zach LaVine goes to the Warriors, and the Warriors get a second round pick in 2030. The Pelicans get Vucevic and get a 2028 second and a 2029 second. The Bulls get Brandon Ingram, Andrew Wiggins, and Kevon Looney. I'm going to stop you right there. I don't think the Warriors would trade Kevon Looney, but we'll see. And somehow the Pistons get in this deal and get Gary Payton, but they don't get anything else. Why are the Pistons in this deal? I guess maybe somebody had to come off some cap, but from the Pistons, I don't know if I'm helping you out if I don't get a pick. But okay, but these are just some Brandon Ingram trades. Saying he is possibly on the move. It is a contract dispute, so you never know in these scenarios. You see it in football all the time. Players hold out, players mad. Basketball, they really don't do that because they don't need to. But players hold out, players upset. And usually they get their money one way or the other, just being honest. All right. Going into our next segment. Today, we'll be talking about NBA predictions. So we'll do one with wins and losses. And then this one is an article basically on the biggest turnarounds and the biggest questions for the 2024-2025 season. So the first major question, which teams will make a major leap. So on the article, there are, how many teams did they do? They say 11, but there's a lot tied. All right, let's just read off who they have number one. Actually, let's go in reverse. Let's do the top 5, but 2 are tied for 5. So, the teams that'll make a major leap. Tied for 5th, the 76ers, which isn't bad. Tied for 5th, the Milwaukee Bucks. In 4th, the Phoenix Suns. 3, the Golden State Warriors. 2, the San Antonio Spurs. And 1, the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I agree with the Memphis Grizzlies. I agree with the San Antonio Spurs. Memphis Grizzlies get Ja Morant back. They'll be a top team with Ja. San Antonio Spurs have ascending Wembanyama, and they get a smart point guard in Chris Paul. And they talk about their draft pick was Stephon Castle, but I don't figure him to be a factor, just being honest. I believe Chris Paul is worth it enough, even at his advanced age. Now, the Warriors, I don't get what the turnaround is going to be because what have they truly done? They got rid of. So I was looking at analytics. Sometimes I look at analytics for fun. I was looking at Klay Thompson's analytics because everybody says he, has taken a major fall off. So he has fallen off, but it's not as bad as what people make it seem. He still shot, if I remember right, 39% from 3. It could have been 38. Still better than a lot of guys. He'd still be a top 3-point shooter in the league. And still better than Buddy Hield that they got. And I know they got Kyle Anderson as well, but I'm not rolling with this. Phoenix Suns, I can see that they'll have a year to jail. Same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. 76ers getting Paul George. I could definitely see that. Cause that could be a major because Paul can be the third option on this team. And now, what I don't like about 76ers fans is, now I understand the playoffs, that's a whole nother story, but you could say the same thing about Paul George. But in the regular season, Tobias Harris actually wasn't that bad. Look at his numbers. He did what he's supposed to do. He scores efficiently. I'm interested to see what he does in Detroit because Detroit actually might be a better team who I do not see on this list. But I believe they should be on this list because Detroit has picked up a lot of pieces this offseason. And they were on a 20-game losing streak. If anybody should have somewhat of a turnaround, they should. But they have the Rockets after that. Ime Udoka, Reed Shepard has a lot of hype coming in. And if Reed Shepard plays anything close to what he did in the Summer League, they'll have a big turnaround. Orlando Magic, Franz, and Banchero, they're rising, so they should be better. The Sacramento Kings, they should be better. They acquired DeMar DeRozan. They already had De'Aaron Fox. They still have Malik Monk. They still have Sabonis. Brooklyn Nets. I don't know about this one. I don't think they will be that much better. I don't necessarily see that. Charlotte Hornets. If LaMelo could stay healthy, but it's not looking like it. The Heat, New Orleans Pelicans, and the Blazers. I don't understand how Detroit's not on here, but okay. Another prediction. They said, which team will take a tumble this season? Okay, let's go in reverse again. Tied for fifth, the Milwaukee Bucks. So Milwaukee Bucks is on the biggest turnaround and the biggest tumble. Okay. Denver Nuggets, Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Hawks, the Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers. Okay. So Los Angeles Lakers are number one. The biggest tumble? What was their record last year? Because I don't think they'll take the biggest tumble. Because they were a play-in team. So I think they will be around the same point they were last year. I don't see that changing too much. The Clippers I think they're going to take a good little step down because James is going to be running the show by himself because Kawhi is probably going to give you about 50 games before he checks out. Because now if Kawhi stays healthy, yeah, they'll be a playoff team, but I think they are going to take a step down. I don't know why my Hawks are on this list because we weren't good in the first place. Obviously, we got the number one pick. So I don't understand how we're going to get so much worse than what we were last year. We got the number one pick. And so we shouldn't be on the list. The Bulls, same thing with them. It's because Zach LaVine really didn't play last year. And they lost DeMar DeRozan, so Zach LaVine could get as many shots as he want to get. But they have a good young squad. So I don't necessarily agree with that. Denver Nuggets, I don't agree with either. They should be solid. The Milwaukee Bucks, I like them on the team with the uprise, not going to take a tumble. Miami Heat's next. That's a team. But not with Spoelstra. Yeah, they shouldn't take too much of go down with Spoelstra. Golden State, I see tumbling. The Suns, I do not. The Mavericks, they were the fifth seed, so I think they should be able to get back there. The Nets, yes. Even though they were bad, I still think they're going to be even worse. 76ers should not be on the list. Houston Rockets, you could put them on the list. Not really. The Knicks should be on this list because they will not be a 2 seed this upcoming year. And the Washington Wizards just aren't good. So, yeah, you could just throw them on this list. Which player will get his first All-Star nod? Wembanyama is definitely going to be on this list, but we'll do the top 5 again. Actually, we don't have to do top 5. We can do all of them. Tied for 8th, Alperen Sengun. He has played very well, so he almost made it last year. There's already a name I do not. There's actually 2 names I don't really agree with. One, actually, there's a couple. Jaime Jaquez. He's played well, but he's not making an All-Star game next year. We can go ahead and take that out. Buddy Hield, another one not making an All-Star game, even with the Golden State Warriors. There's too much competition in the West for guards. Evan Mobley, he may make an All-Star game. Just depends. He's in the East. If he can get that scoring average up to about 20 and 10, I think he could be 20 and 8, to be honest with you. He can get closer to 20, I think he'll be on there. Because his defense is already going to make him a very good candidate. Kate Cunningham, they might give it to him, but I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. He's not efficient. For me, to be a 6'6" guard, same problem I have with LaMelo, he's not efficient enough for it. Jamal Murray, I would like for him to. Things just have to go right for him. Mikal Bridges, unless the Knicks would have to be a 2 or 1 seed for him to make it. I don't see that happening. These next two definitely, Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama, because I do continue to see Oklahoma City being a good team, and they'll take Chet and Shea. Victor Wembanyama will definitely make it next year. There's too much hype around him, too much money behind him. He's definitely going to make him. Which star will make the biggest impact on his new team? All right. At number 6, Klay Thompson. Number 5, Chris Paul. Number 4, DeRozan. Number 3, Alex Caruso. Number 2, Mikal Bridges. Number 1, Paul George. All right, so I'm going to order them in the way I think they should be. At the bottom of the list, I think Alex Caruso should be at the bottom of the list. Oklahoma City was already the number 1 seed without him. So unless he's going to get them up to like 65, 66 wins in a season, it's not much of a difference he could make. Next, I'm going to put Mikal Bridges because I don't see how OG Anunoby was already good enough. I don't see how Mikal Bridges, seeing how they play a similar position, OG is a little bit more stockier than he is, though. I don't see how Mikal Bridges is the one that kind of makes that team that much better. I'm debating in my head right now. I'm debating Chris Paul and DeMar DeRozan. All right, let me wait. Yeah, because my list already have somebody above that. So I believe Chris Paul is going to change the Spurs around. DeMar DeRozan, Sacramento Kings, I still would probably put them in lottery contention. So, yeah. Let's put DeMar at 4. Let's put Chris Paul at 3. I'm going to move Klay to 2 because I believe we're disrespecting Klay so much. And I believe the type of shots that he is about to get with Kyrie and with Luka out on that floor is something they have not had. Because they tried Tim Hardaway, he's just a streaky shooter. You have Klay, and Klay's had the injuries, but Klay is honestly not as bad as people's making him out to be. And we all know Klay doesn't need to touch the ball that often to be efficient. So I think he will be fine in Dallas. So I'm going to put Klay 2, and I'm going to keep Paul George as 1, because Paul George could potentially make them into a contender. I just have to see how they mesh, how they gel. But I can see a potential contender. I won't say they'll win the championship because I think that's still Boston's, just being honest. And what Boston will probably do is just, if I'm Boston, I let Porzingis just rest until he gets healthy, bring him back or probably around the All-Star break, around that time, and then let him play himself into shape for the next 2 months, and then get ready for playoff time. That's honestly what I would do. The next superstar to request a trade will be, we already talked about one. We have Darius Garland on the list, Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, and Brandon Ingram. Okay, so I do not agree with Kevin Durant. I don't think he's going to request a trade. I think that part of his career is probably over. I think he'll just let the contract play out, and then if he needs to go somewhere, go somewhere else. Darius Garland, I could see it, but I think there's too much money for him to not stay in Cleveland another year. Jimmy Butler, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, and Brandon Ingram, yes. And I like Trae here, but I don't know if this is the place for him. Just being honest, because we're probably about to go through a losing stretch here, and Trae's a winner. Jimmy, I think Jimmy is good Kevin Durant should not be on the list, to be honest with you. I think Darius Garland's not going anywhere. Jimmy is like a maybe, but I honestly think he'll be back with the Heat. I think he's just talking. Now, Trae, Zach, and Brandon, I will put Trae how it is. The list is actually pretty good other than Kevin Durant. I would put Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram right neck and neck, and they did. They tied them. I can't see that far, and yeah, because both of them need to get out of where they're at, and more so Zach LaVine, to be honest with you. But those are some of the predictions for the 2024-25 season. And talking about predictions, let's talk about some contenders. We're going to go through the win-loss. This should be interesting. Okay, so we have the Boston Celtics, number 1, obviously. And I believe we're talking about the East first, so let's go ahead and get that out the way. So we have the Boston Celtics first, the Knicks, number 2, 76ers, 3. I probably should read the records. Let's start this over. The Boston Celtics at 61-21. The Knicks at 53-29. The Sixers at 52-30. The Cavs at 50-32. The Bucks at 49-33. That's just disrespectful. And the Magic at 47-35. I think that's disrespectful for the Bucks, being honest. The Bucks were a very good team before Doc took over as coach. But also, I think we have to remember Damian Lillard was not the same player last year as he was in years prior. And we need to take that into account. And I think I had to look because yesterday I recorded and I missed about 20 minutes of information. But we have to take into account that the Milwaukee Bucks are a very good team and have 3 very good pieces on there. So just looking at this list, I personally think Boston, I would put the Bucks 2. I would put the Sixers, keep Sixers 3. I would move the Cavs down 1. And I put the Knicks at 4. I put the Cavs at 5, leave Orlando where they're at 6. Just looking at that list where it's at. The play-in group, they have the Indiana Pacers, the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Chicago Bulls. The Indiana Pacers record 46-36, Miami Heat 45-37, the Hawks 31-51, and the Bulls at 30-52. Well, I know good and well the Hawks were not, better than the Heat or the Pacers. I know that. I would even say we might not even make this list, just being honest. And I think if it gets to a point in time in the season where we're in this territory, I think trades will start to go. Clint Capella probably be the first one domino off the board. Then probably looking at Trey after that. Because we have Reece Sachet, we might as well start young. But the thing about Reece Sachet, I'm not sure how good of a scorer he is. He's decent, but I'm not sure if he's the type of guy that just takes over games. So I look at the Bulls. They'll probably get rid of Zach LaVine, and they might be actually worse than that. So let's see what the bottom 5 are saying. The bottom 5 are Toronto, the Raptors at 26-56, the Nets at 22-60, the Hornets at 21-61, the Pistons at 20-62, and the Wizards at 17-65. Okay, so the Wizards definitely agree with. I think they'll be the worst team. I think probably in the league. I need to look at the West, just see where Portland's at. Pistons, I think the Pistons actually be a little bit better than this. If I had to take a guess, I'm going to say the Pistons will be better than 20-62. The Raptors, yeah, I could see the Bulls and the Hawks being in this category, just being honest. The Nets should be down here because I think they'll start trading off pieces as well. The Hornets, I think they'll just be down here just because, again, LaMelo's not an efficient guard. So, and the same thing with Cade. But they have surrounded Cade with some efficient players. LaMelo will have Brandon Miller still. I forget who they picked up in the draft, if they did pick up anybody. I'm pretty sure they did. But yeah, I see the Hornets being back down here again. The Nets will definitely be down here. I can see the Hawks and the Bulls being back down there, and I can see the two teams I see going that could possibly go up, or The Raptors, I believe, could go up. And I don't know why. I want to say I believe the Pistons can go up, but let me look at the Pistons team because who did they had to get somebody because I am certain. I'm just looking at the roster. Okay, so on their roster they have Malik Beasley. Just make sure I hit the button. Malik Beasley, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Tim Hardaway, Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, Wendell Moore Jr., Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson. I think they'll be better than what we think. They got Cade some shooting on the outside with Beasley, Hardaway, and Harris. Now, Hardaway is streaky, and Tobias is a very efficient guy. If you really look at the numbers, he's a very efficient guy. So I think they'll be better. Beasley shot the most threes I think he's ever shot last year. They just need Cade to be efficient. And Jalen Duren, I didn't realize he's only 20, even though he's been in the league 3 years. Well, will be 3 years, I believe. And so I think Duren can actually, hopefully, who's the coach now? I believe it's Bickerstaff up there in Detroit, I believe. They need to give Duren minutes because when he gets minutes, he's actually very good. I was trying to see. I don't think Wiseman's on this team, which is good. I think Wiseman's on the Wizards now. But, yeah, I think the Pistons have a chance to be in that playing game. Yeah, I'm going to go to the Raptors and the Pistons, and I'm going to move the Hawks and the Bulls down. Is this just the East that I'm looking at? Oh, man. I was hoping to get the East and the West. Let me just talk it through until I can find the West. Maybe we haven't revealed the West yet. Or maybe I haven't. Conference and NBA Finals champions. Nope. Oh, this is nice. You know, this is now, folks, this is why you read the stuff before you actually start doing it. Because when you don't read, now I have to go and look at the predictions for the West. And because I know good and well, when did this come out? Because if it came out today, I'm not going to be able to find it. But if it came out, yep, it looks like it came out a couple weeks ago. If that's the case, well, okay now. This, I'm just going to say this isn't right. There's one that says for the East and the West that I was just Googling. But why would it not just give me that one? Yeah, because that's the one. Oh, I thought this is the one I was reading from. Ooh. This is a totally different article. Oh, I had to save this for tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to save that one for tomorrow. Yeah, because that one was 12 days ago. Okay. All right, for the Western Conference. Western Conference standings. We have Oklahoma City, number 1 at 57-25. Minnesota, 2, 54-28. The Mavericks, 3 at 52-30. Denver Nuggets, 4 at 52-30. Phoenix, 49-33 at 5. Sac at 6 at 47-35. All right, let's shake this up a little bit. So, I think the Denver Nuggets will be the number 1 team in the West next year. I will put the Oklahoma City Thunder right under them at the number 2 team. Dallas is going to not be number 3. They'll be number 4. No, Dallas will be number 5 because Phoenix is going to move up to that number 4 team. Minnesota will be the 3 team again. And I need to see who's on the SAC because SAC will not be on this list. The play-in group, they have the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, we have a major issue already. Play-in group, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, Golden State Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies, Houston Rockets. Okay, cool. Memphis Grizzlies will not be part of that. So the Sacramento Kings, go ahead and drop them out. So now we're dropping everybody down 1. So Denver still be 1. We're going to put Oklahoma City 2. We're going to move the Memphis Grizzlies to 3. Then we're going to put the Suns at 4. The Mavs at 5. No, did my math wrong. Something is off. Well, the Kings. All right, let's throw the Kings out. Kings are out of here.
We have the Denver Nuggets. Okay. We have Oklahoma City. That's 2. We'll put the Grizzlies at 3. Minnesota at 4. Okay, I see where I messed up. Phoenix is still at 5, and now the Dallas Mavericks are at 6. So that's how we're gonna do that. The West is tough. Oof. But Sacramento Kings will be potentially a player team. Let me see how I work this though. Okay, so the playing group they have was the New Orleans Pelicans, Golden State Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies, Houston Rockets. I am taking out the Grizzlies to put them in the regular part. The Sacramento Kings are back down here. Sacramento Kings will be part of this playing group. The Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets are on the fence. Honestly, these 3 on the fence. Let me see who's over here. Okay. So the bottom 5. Ooh, to win 44 games and not make the play-in is crazy. Okay. So we have the Lakers, the Clippers, the Spurs, the Jazz, and the Trailblazers. Okay. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say the Spurs are going to be in this play-in group. So let's move the Rockets out, and I believe we're going to move the Golden State Warriors out as well. So we're going to move those teams out. I'm going to put the Lakers in there, but them and Golden State, those are the ones I'm worried about. Tyler's a good coach, though. That's the only thing. And so the Pelicans, I might have to throw the Pelicans out, and then they're going to have to break that Pelicans team up. So the Blazers and Jazz, I believe, will be the worst teams in the West. The Spurs, I think they could be a play-in team. I think with Wemby a year of development, them getting pieces around him and then surrounding Chris Paul, and I know I've been putting a lot of emphasis on Chris Paul, but I believe they can make them at least a play-in team. And I think the Lakers should be in there over the Warriors. And I like how they try to hedge their bet because they put the Lakers, Rockets, and Grizzlies at the same record. I don't think the Rockets are. I think they're probably a year away from being in this playing group. Yeah, because I would still put the Lakers. I would still put the Lakers here, even though LeBron's older. Until he starts to show that he's going to slow down, because even in the Olympics he looked like the best player on the team at times. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say he's gonna be at least in the play-in. But okay, now we've done the East and the West. And hey, tell me what predictions you think I have wrong. But I think for now, that's what I'm gonna go with. And the last thing we're going to do today is rank the most promising rebuilds. I'm just going off an article that, again, I have not read yet. So, and I have to look, that I have not read yet. So we will see how this goes. So they have some honorable mentions. They have the Utah Jazz. Who they have? Keontae George, Walker Kessler. They have Lauri Markkanen on that team. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, John Collins. John Collins is, for contenders, I would try to go get him. Because even though he got dunked on by Anthony Edwards, if you look at him, again, I like to look at efficient players. Honestly, same thing with Colin Sexton. I like to look at efficient players. And those two players are very efficient. So I would try to, and I don't think Colin Sexton will go as easily, but John Collins I feel like will. So I would try to see what I could get for John Collins if I was in that championship mold. The Bulls, because the Bulls, we don't know what they're doing. Just being honest, they got Josh Giddey from OKC. Who's the guard? He's about 6'4". He was in Sixth Man of the Year. Why can't I think of people's names when I need them? They're not. Their rebuild is messy. Toronto, they have Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett. Oh, that's where Kelly Olynyk went. Okay, Pirtle, Bruce Brown. Yeah, Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown probably do need to get traded. Yeah, the Hornets, honestly. So they have Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, But the thing is, until LaMelo can show he can be healthy, because I think he's been hurt the last 3 years, they're not going to really be able to do anything. Um, Miles Bridges did sign back, which is a good sign, but I still don't think they make any noise. So they have at number 5, they have the Brooklyn Nets. Um, hmm. I don't know because they're saying they have the veterans and Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Bojan Bogdanovic, and then they still have Ben Simmons. Oh, but they say his money comes off his deal next year, so that would be nice. I don't see why they would be number 5 on the rebuild. To be honest with you, I would rather have Toronto's situation if I were them. Yeah, or even the Jazz. I'd rather have either one of those situations over the Brooklyn Nets. The Washington Wizards. They have Kyle Kuzma, Brogdon. They just picked up Valanciunas, so I think they're trying to win, but I don't think that was a good move, to be honest with you. They did get Malcolm Brogdon. They did, but they sent out Avia, so that kind of messes up a rebuild, to be honest with you. I don't even know they should be on the list. They do have Alex Sarr. They do have Bilal Koulibaly. So they have two guys from France. Jordan Poole should still be on this team, but unless he goes back to Warriors, Jordan Poole, it doesn't even matter. Portland Trailblazers. I was sad to see that Trendon Watford wasn't still on this team, but they do have Shaedon Sharpe. They have Scoot Henderson. So they do have potential, but we have to see where that goes. Anthony Simons is still a young guy, but it looks like they're about to trade him. Excuse me. They did pick up Donovan Clingan. They have Denny Avia, but they still do have DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, who didn't even play, and then Jeremy Grant. So they have a mix of talent. It's weird, but still not necessarily bad. The Detroit Pistons. So they're calling it a rebuild, but the way they picked up these pieces, they should be closing off on their rebuild. You have Cunningham, who I need him to be more efficient, because if he is efficient, for me, he jumps into a totally different tier of guard. And that's why I keep harping on his efficiency, because I think if he could get there, because even though what he's averaged, because his numbers look great, but the type of shots, for him to be 6'6" and shoot 42% from the field is unacceptable. He has to be able to get closer to that 46% range. They did say he shot a career high 35% from 3. As my lead guard, I would like to see that around 37, 38, but we'll take it. They do have Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Jalen Duren, and Jaden Ivey. But I like Jalen Duren the best out of that. Jaden Ivey has the talent, but I think he's a guy that probably will wind up like Malik Monk. A bouncy guy that could score. Probably just needs the ball, have the ball a little bit more, in my opinion. So I think that's what'll happen there. And the San Antonio Spurs were obviously going to be number 1. They have Wembanyama, the number one, the number 1 guy. And so, does it say? Oh wow. I didn't realize that San Antonio owns Atlanta's 2027 first rounder in a swap. Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. They own our first straight out. They own our 2027 first rounder. Swap rights on Boston Celtics 2028 first round pick. I don't think that'll do anything. Most favorable from either the Dallas Mavericks or Minnesota Timberwolves. An unprotected 2031 pick from the Wolves, and the swap rights to the Kings 2031 selection. So some of these picks are a mute point. The 2028 Boston first round pick, I don't think. Well, it's still in 4 years, but I can see Boston still being good for 4 years. The The 2030 Mavericks one or the Minnesota Timberwolves is interesting because that's 6 years from now. Anthony Edwards will be about 30. Luka probably be about 30, 31. So if they're still with their respective teams, they'll still be good. If not, then that pick will be great. The unprotected 2031 is great. The swap rights for the Kings pick is a 50-50 shot, to be honest with you. So the Spurs do have Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan, and the player I really like is Devin Vassell. I think Chris Paul is going to help his game out a lot, and I believe that with Wembanyama, they're going to be able to get a lot of open shots. And now having a lead guard who can control the pace and the flow and the action of the game, I think that's going to help out a lot. But guys, that is all we have for tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for eventually watching. And I guess I said my piece.